Welcome to EDUTalks, your source for inspiring education discussions. We bring you deep insights from education's brightest minds.
Well, hello everyone. This is Belen. I'm the marketing manager of Edu Passport, and we have started a new segment, a new part of our amazing platform that is so many things that you can do and you can get. But we have started this space that is called EDUTalks because we really wanted to be like in touch with people that are in the industry, in the global industry of education, not only in some local country, because we are everywhere. Literally, just go to a platform, and if you want to apply to any jobs, there you are. If you want to Thailand, if you want to go to Africa, or whatever country that you would like to, even South America. So the options are there. I had to do this introduction because it's part of our company. But joining with me is Katie Olearo, an amazing person that we know, because she's also someone that has contributed in the past with us. So it's kind of like an in-house interview, but the idea, it's a little bit like understand different experience, understand where people are coming from, and obviously like have conversations about what's going on in the world right now and in education, online, on-site, global traveling. But before we go into that, Katie, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, who you are, where you're from, probably.
Yeah, so I'm Katie, as Balin mentioned. I am a citizen of the US who currently lives in Istanbul, Turkey, which has been an amazing experience. But I am an ESL teacher, so English as a second language teacher online, and a couple of students within Istanbul. So that's what I've been up to. Just to gather some life experience while doing something that I really appreciate doing, which is teaching other people. Yeah.
Amazing, nice the introduction. Something I always ask people is, why did you decide like to start traveling around, or why Istanbul? Probably people like, it's not like the country or like the city, but it's like, why moving from where you were to what took you to take that decision?
Yeah, well, I think I always had an extreme curiosity about the world. My grandmother traveled the world. I always wanted to be like her when I got older, and now that I'm older, I'm really trying to make that aspiration come true. And I had to pair it with something to, support myself. So I always had a really strong connection with helping people, teaching people, and why not teach people my native language while getting to know people from different cultures, first of all. So much fun to be open-minded, to see that, the world is much bigger than what you think it is, and to see how people live their daily lives and how different it is from yours. And the opposite, that also, it's a really big eye-opener. Makes you realize, like, not everything is exactly what you think it is. There are struggles, there are different kinds of happiness, there are different kinds of thoughts and how people think and carry themselves, which is such a different kind of knowledge than just opening a book and reading about a country. When you put yourself in the middle of the actual culture and the people and the language, you learn in a different way, really. It changes your whole thought process. Your brain activity changes. You start to realize that there is more to life than just what you experienced growing up in your own home country. Yeah, definitely. It's been so much fun.
That's amazing. How long have you been living abroad? If I'm not, I will not say your age, but let's just ask it.
So far, it's been just over 2 years, with the intention to continue. I've thought a lot about my next stop being South Korea, so that's definitely in the plans for next year. Yeah, so for about 2 years, I've been in Istanbul, but I don't want to stop here. So
You want to? This is the first stop. Like, this is the first part.
Exactly. I want to keep going. The world is too big not to experience different things. And because I do have that availability in my life, I know it's not the same for everybody.
Mhm.
I do want to take advantage of the availability that I have for myself. Yeah.
Amazing that you say that, and especially like your decision, like, oh, maybe I will go to South Korea next year. We know, like, you must be under a visa. Like, how was those processes to getting the visa? I know that, in general, because I also going through the same.
Yeah.
I kind of struggle, like, getting the information, getting people to help you, especially if it's another language and they don't speak English in your case. So,
Yeah.
how was that experience? Has been doing that experience?
Yeah, so the few times that I've gotten visas in different areas, of course, there's always the language barrier of trying to figure things out and having the correct information and preparing yourself. But what I would advise people is don't wait, obviously, until just before you're about to head out. Make this a really big priority at the very beginning because every country has their own necessities and wants and wishes when it comes to who they're letting into their country. And you also have to really consider the price. Visas these days are expensive. No matter where you're going, it's expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, you need to know like about exiting also. I think one of the biggest advice that I would have for someone is what's your plan B? What if your visa suddenly is no longer valid? What if there's a geopolitical issue in your country and you got to go? What is the exit strategy? So it's not just getting the papers and getting the people to help you. It's how much to get in and to get out. You always have to have that plan too. But I think one of the biggest struggles definitely is trying to figure out who to contact, when to
Mhm.
contact them, and what paperwork you need to get together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge process. And here in Turkey, they take it very serious. Also, they have a
Mhm.
high immigration population right now that
Yeah.
they're trying to take control of. So there's a lot of changes. You've got to constantly check, like, okay, maybe 6 months ago this was the plan, but has it changed due to governmental issues or wants? So definitely being on your toes.
No, definitely, definitely. And for example, like talking about visas, because there are some visas that you can work that allows you to work there, or there are others that are student like kind of visa, and people in general like start from there and then moves forward. Do you ever apply to a student visa, or like you go directly to the work visa?
I never did the student visa,
Mhm.
so I know because I know that there are different stipulations about like how many classes you have to take in
Mhm.
order to remain in the country. I went straight for a tourist visa and continuously update that. But of course, you could look into work visas also. But again, that's another stipulation: how many hours you work, where you're working, and if somebody wants to sponsor you also can be
Oh,
difficult.
the sponsorship,
Uh,
the big
yeah,
word.
it is. It's a
It's
lot
a
of
big word.
responsibility. Yeah, so I myself personally go for a nice and easy first and continuously update that as I go.
Amazing. I'm talking about, it was Turkey always your first option, or you've been like searching others and then Turkey just popped into the picture, or how's the decision
I've
there?
always been acquainted with the Turkish culture. I mean, literally for about 13 years now. So the idea of coming to Turkey was very comfortable. And
Mhm.
that's probably something that I would suggest to someone: find a place if you've been able to kind of go with that one. You already have some, possible understandings about the culture, the language, have friends, talk to friends, connect with people,
Mhm.
talk to locals. Government officials are going to say, hey, my country is amazing. Talk to locals. Ask them, "Hey, from your point of view, like, what should I consider coming when coming to your country? Like, tell me the real details. But Turkey was always the easiest choice for me from the very beginning and one of my favorite choices so far.
Amazing. And you could really are working online? Are you working on site? What's the deal with, like, I know you're a ESL teacher there in Turkey, but What's your experience there?
Yeah, so here in Turkey, learning English is like it is a luxury, but it's also a necessity these days. So it's so easy to find clients who want to seriously learn the language, English language. So that's not a problem. Finding people that you want to teach, not a problem. Just remember that due to inflation of different countries, your price is going to be different. You have to be really, I think, open-minded and gentle about how much you're charging people for lessons, really have some
And understanding that you cannot probably ask for more than when you're asking because of the situation of the country.
yeah, be empathetic, but also understand your worth,
Yes,
uh
the balance there, finding the
that's
balance.
right. That's right. That's right. You got to find that nice balance, definitely. But also, mainly, I teach online through one of the global platforms, which
Mhm.
is easier starting out. It's something I would suggest somebody if they want to maybe teach English while traveling. Start on
Yeah.
a platform, get your feet wet, and figure out. Okay, this is how my teaching style is. This is how I best connect with people in this way. Am I funny? Am I a good listener? And really, lean on your skills and your attributes to connect with people, and then the right people will slowly gravitate towards you. You'll start getting your regulars who are telling friends of friends how to connect with you. So it's a really online. It really changed my life. I'm not gonna lie. Once the world started going remote, woo, it opened up so many doors for me. So I could be like, okay, Turkey this year, South Korea next. Let's go. And
Mhm.
it's just a free feeling, really.
That's great. And things that you mentioned about like online classes, like what's anything like you had experience, I think, on site, right? And then like teaching online, like what's something that you've seen like it was unexpected or surprising in your students like learning and behavior like since the rise of online education? Like do
Such
you
a
notice something different? Like, okay, this is
Yeah, it's such a great question, and one that really talks about like human behavior. When
Mhm.
you're face to face with a student, usually they're much more shy. Of course, they don't want to make mistakes or seem silly, and people become really open online. There's this distance in a way
Mhm.
that it doesn't feel like so much pressure. So people are really more open to making silly mistakes when learning or asking more questions and being more friendly because it's not that face-to-face pressure.
Mhm.
So I find that students' behaviors definitely change in class versus online. And I could say that online is definitely more relaxed and casual versus in class, that desk, teacher desk, student chair wall is really there. And so
Mhm.
people are more apt to be formal about their learning. But that's another thing that I think online really opens your eyes to is different cultural formalities when learning.
Mhm.
You have to really think about, okay, this student is not coming from a Western world like I am. So what does that student teacher relationship look like? That's still plausible. That hasn't changed from, you know, within the classroom versus online. That's you still have to think about societal differences,
Mhm.
cultural differences when teaching online or in a classroom. So something to really learn from also. You'll have funny, awkward, embarrassing moments maybe, but
When you try
it's a
to
good
share
way.
your screen and it's not
Yes!
sharing
Oh,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Stuff like that. But lean into it, learn from it, let it be a little silly joke later on in life. Stuff like that.
Things happen,
Yeah,
as they say.
yeah.
And are you more like towards like teaching like young adults, children, grown people? Like, what's your target there, or you just whoever you're feeling you have as a
Uh,
student?
Good question. I have had experience with, 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds online, and in China while I'm in America and Turkey. So there's that distance, trying to get the attention of kids as you're trying to teach them ABCs, and then I've had, much older people who have, these long careers of business and want to work on their business English. So I'm really open to a large spectrum, but my heart is definitely with maybe I would say kids. I know that I know it's tiresome. I know at the end of the day, I'm like this because I feel like I have to be a performer to get their attention.
It's not
But
just teaching, it's a whole kind of things like keeping the attention, make them laugh, make them.
that's it's a whole circus of events, but it's so rewarding when they start to say, "Oh, hey, teacher, do you want to hear me say my numbers? I can count to 20 now." Like, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I helped them." Like, I was part of the success. And you start to really care about your students at any age, but I
Mhm.
definitely love my younger students, really. Hmm.
That's amazing. And according like your experience, where do you think we are moving, like as an industry with all this online teaching? Because right now I think university, there's some like MBA, so many things that you can actually study for um, without having to go to the place. So where do you think we're going, like as an industry with
It's
teaching online?
Yeah, it's such an interesting concept. I myself got my master's of science online.
Hmm.
And when you talk to a student, some people just are like, I'm not an online student. I can't do it. Like, it's a weird situation for me. But I think that because of the pandemic and how it just basically changed everything, including and most definitely education, there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered while we're still quickly changing. There's a lot of concepts such as socioeconomical status. Not everybody has the ability to be online, and how can we fix that? Like, as a education sector, as an education industry, how do we reach out to students who don't have that availability? And then how do we incorporate our lessons
Hmm.
and change them to be appropriate online? You can't do everything online, but that doesn't mean you're without. That doesn't mean you can't adapt. That doesn't mean you can't change. I think that uh, online classes, online availability is a huge success in my opinion, but I can understand that there's a lot of questions that need to still be answered, or a lot of things that we need to ask
Hmm.
ourselves as educators or education businesses even. How do I reach out to students, to faculties globally, which is, I think, one of EduPassport's main answers,
Yeah.
really. How we can connect people with this large change and still, motivate and change lives and just experience the world and the people in it. I think there's a lot of change left to happen. Uh, but I'm absolutely in love with online learning and teaching. I
Hmm.
really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's amazing. I was thinking like literally what you said, like accessibility. Not many people have the chance to have good connection. Even like prices of like universities or like teaching lines
Right.
sometimes are extremely, extremely high.
Right.
Even if you don't have to like go to the place, they're
Right.
still high. Because obviously costs and stuff. So like for example, in your experience in Turkey, or even in the US, like how do you work with that, or how do you try to obviously understand the situation, or what would you say is the difference between in the US and Turkey, maybe if they have any difference regarding accessibility there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Especially if you're comparing the economic status between the US and Turkey, for example, very different. In America, you would be so quick to say, oh, just, go to the library. It's fine. you go to the library and learn or do what you have to do. In Turkey, it's not always that accessible. So when talking to a student, especially a new one, ask them, hey, what do you think could be any obstacles to get in our way of learning? And let's talk about them. Don't be shy. Like, help. Show that you're there for them. Show that you support them. I am very open. So you have to be open-minded about, are you doing Zoom? Are you using a platform? Are you going to meet this person at a cafe so that you can really help them if they say, like, online just isn't going to work for me? Of course, meeting safely with people, obviously, but you gotta be agile. You gotta be flexible. You gotta be bendable, because when you're traveling to different countries, you have to understand that accessibility changes wherever you are, whether you're in the main capital of a country or you're in a tinier neighborhood. Things are different, and you have to be flexible and understanding. Yeah. You can't walk around, in my case, with your American brain thinking everybody pretty much has it kind of the same. It's not like that. You gotta understand that the world is different and it doesn't revolve around where you're coming from. The world is vast. And so are people, different and with different availabilities. Yeah.
That's such a good take. Yes, it's real that sometimes you come with your own experience, cultural background, and then you go and you realize it's not like that. And probably people that have better access to education or having like little privilege, because it's privilege, in the rise up, then when they have this kind of like cultural shocks about like,
Yeah.
oh, not everyone has a computer, or not everyone has good connection, or like they
It's
need
such
to
a
go
thing.
to the house of the uncle of the whatever just to get. And it's amazing because it's like I come from the South American country, so for me it's normal. But I realized that talking with people from the US or probably like UK or like different kind of like, it's not that they don't have these kind of problems, but it's not as evident and
Yeah.
probably that other places. So yeah, I got you when you were saying that. It was like, yes, girl, that's reality. Like understanding that we're not all in the same situation and everyone is having some kind of struggle. I think that is good that besides struggle, they're looking for learning. Like they're looking actively, they're going for this. So I think that even that is really good to have like that thing. But just for us to finish, so I don't take more of your time, if you have to say like three things, because I know you said it, but if we can wrap up with this, three things people should take into consideration when they want to work with a visa in another country as a teacher, for example. What are three things they should like take into the consideration for it?
For the visa, you said, right?
Yeah.
Definitely look into programs. Many countries have programs for teachers. So look at what's accessible to you. Look into governmental necessities, prices. Definitely something that you should consider, because every visa is different, and you need to know what that visa includes. Okay, because you don't want to make a mistake and not work enough hours, and then you gotta hightail it out of there. Secondly, you need to understand that there should be an exit plan. The world, as we could turn on the news right now, is a crazy place. You gotta always have a strategy to keep yourself safe. And then with, again, the visa, you need to be open-minded about the responsibility of that visa, meaning, uh, you know, what does it mean for me? How should I conduct myself in that country? What are the like societal norms when I'm going in there? Definitely research that. That's part of visa planning, of knowing what's appropriate, what's not appropriate as far as my behaviors, because it's not always the same. And you don't want to go and ruffle feathers, because you're just there to experience and be empathetic and open-minded. But yeah, price, responsibility of that visa, and an exit strategy just in case. Yeah.
I was muted. Lovely. That's something that kind of happen when you're teaching online. I'm muted. I was talking. And like as you're like teaching online, 3 things that if someone needs to, that you think there are like 3 things people should be doing right now if they're teaching online. Like, okay, if we're teaching online, like have these 3 things on your mind.
Not every online platform requires it, but get a certification from a reputable source.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does it look good, it teaches you things. You got to continuously learn because education is continuously changing. So get that certification and continue to learn from it and to update yourself on information. Another online tip, I guess, is making sure that your availability is as open as possible so that you can be open to either a global source or to schedules. If you're teaching younger kids, obviously middle of the day schedule not going to work. They're at school. If you have if you have primary adult students, again, middle of the day, they're usually at work. Not everybody obviously has a day job or anything like that, but that's another consideration. What are the cultural considerations of your schedule and how do you include those people so that you're open to them? And then how do you keep it fun and entertaining? You're not a performer in a classroom, you're online, and that could feel limiting, but it's not. Actually, it's a whole new world of fun and possibilities and the ability to be your own variety show for a moment. How do you get people's attention? You really look into what works for you and what skills you have that are strong. Yeah.
That's so nice. That I really relate with the last one. Well, Katie, thank you so much to joining our first EDUTalks. It was really nice to have you here. We were trying to have you for a long time. Behind a busy with your teaching lessons. You've been busy. That's amazing. So if you're in Turkey, just reach out to Katie. She's available. But thank you so much to all that you're seeing this video. This is going to be available on our Edu blog, and also is going to be shared on our platforms. So if you enjoy it, just share it, like it, comment, and everything that typical influencers say, influential people say. So please do it because we are trying to make this community a little bit more close. Besides the distance. Thank you so much, Katie, again, and I hope you have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Don't forget to follow us and turn on the notifications to stay updated with the latest EDUTalk. Join our journey to explore the future of education and be part of the conversation. Your support keeps their learning alive.